Hello, my name is Deborah Arroyo. I'm happy to present to you my final BTSA project, which will highlight the journey I've been on as a new teacher these last 2 years. I began as a library specialist with Fontana Unified 6 years ago. I am now the teacher librarian at Harupa Hills High School, where I have been the last 4 years. I received my BA degree in Liberal Studies and my multiple subjects teaching credential from the University of Redlands. I enjoyed my BA program because before I even started my credential program, I was being prepared for teaching by observing teachers in action as part of the program. In 2010, I received my MA in Education with an emphasis in school librarianship from Azusa Pacific University. For the last 2 years, I have taught English language development to newcomers and intermediate level English speakers. I have been teaching some of the same students for the last 2 years, and it has been rewarding seeing them grow and develop in their English language proficiency. My BTSA mentor is Josh Godinez. He has offered me a wealth of knowledge in the areas of cognitive and emotional growth of students and improving student-teacher interactions and parent communication, as he is a counselor at my school. He also taught social studies for many years prior to becoming a counselor. I became a teacher because I had a teacher that impacted and even altered the course of my future when I was in elementary school. I thought teaching would always go smoothly and that the students would be motivated and engaged to learn. I learned that building rapport and motivation in students would be the most important part of my job aside from planning and actual teaching. Before I became a teacher, my biggest concern was the lesson planning, but classroom management quickly became one of my most pressing concerns as I began teaching. I make learning fun by building up anticipation about our units of learning and by using cooperative grouping to give students opportunities to interact and participate. Some ways I maintain a safe and effective classroom are by establishing classroom procedures, behavior expectations, and instructional routines, all which require lots of consistency. As a PLC, we developed our progressive behavior plan, which includes several steps that involve other means of correction, parent contact, and behavior plans before we involve the administration. Of course, some behavior requires more immediate contact with the administrators, but I do find this plan helps me tackle some of the more common issues such as students being off task, excessive talking, or even a student use of bad language. When I did my student teaching, I learned about the refocus strategy for behavior intervention. I really liked it, and I knew when I became a teacher I was going to use it. Now it's part of my progressive behavior plan. Students are asked to identify their behavior and put an immediate plan of action together to use so they can rejoin the class within a few minutes after refocusing. When interacting with their partner, students practice using the 4 L's. It may seem a little militant to have students interact in this way, but I have found most high school students still need to be taught how to interact appropriately, and the 4 L's establish this expectation. As part of my positive behavior support plan, I use Class Dojo. The students love having an avatar, and I enjoy catching them doing the things I want them to do, like participating, helping others, persevering through tough assignments, and using our classroom procedures. Some of my instructional routines are partner and group interactions, using response frames, setting up a lesson task, daily do-nows, building reading fluency, academic vocabulary, and academic discussion. My first year teaching, I attended the California Association of Bilingual Educators, or the CABE, conference, and I did a 2-day GLAD workshop. I learned so many wonderful strategies there. I love using these strategies, and I find them effective and useful for my English learners. Before I begin each unit, I use pictures from the text to create my observation charts. This is to build anticipation and also engage prior knowledge. I get to see what students already know about what we are going to learn, and that's useful for me when I'm planning. Exploration report is another type of anticipation strategy. Students use picture file cards to develop questions, observations, and predictions for our unit. For my word wall, I use the Cognitive Content Dictionary strategy. We do this whole group and in partners. Instead of me talking at the students, directly teaching them content area vocabulary, I facilitate their inquiry of new words, and we complete the chart together. It's posted in the class, and they also keep a version of it in their binders. I love that this is a working document, as most of the GLAD strategies are. Another GLAD strategy is to create songs using the main unit objectives as a basis of the lyrics. I did this in one of my units, and my kids loved it. If I forgot to lead them through the song before class was out, they would remind me. Needless to say, they retained many important points from the unit using this strategy. At the beginning of each semester, I have my students create SMART goals using their pre-test data. We reflect on the goals during finals each semester. I also create challenge questions that I post around the class, and as closing activities, I have a student pull one off the wall and we answer it and share our responses as a class. These questions help push my students cognitively and build deeper understanding. I use pictorial and comparative input charts to help my students connect concepts. As I'm doing this strategy, I believe the concepts are being etched in students' minds. I also do centers on block days, which allows students to move about the class in a structured and focused way. The students practice skills we are learning and also have the support of their peers. One of our ESLers is to be team players, and they definitely have to work together to complete each center. For unit projects, I give students a couple of options. For this unit, they could create a comic based on what we learned, or they could create a diagram. Students love when they can show you how creative they are. I have enjoyed working with my PLC team to develop common assessments, cross-curricular projects, enrichment and intervention activities. Second semester of this year, I became ELD department chair, and I had to step up to lead our new teachers and help them assimilate to our school. Good thing I had a great example of a department chair in Kathleen Quiros West. When I reflect on action, after I teach a lesson, I am honest about what did and did not work. Was the lesson too long? Was there a good flow to the lesson? Were the students engaged? Was it too easy or too hard for them? These are some of the questions I ask myself. When I reflect in action, I have to check for understanding as I go by taking a sampling of my students. For example, I may take a sampling of some of my lower students and my middle students and my high students and use their responses to reteach or move on in that moment. Sometimes I have to stop, go back, and model more, or sometimes I have to prompt students more during guided instruction. I also listen to the questions my students ask or do not ask, and I look at their body language and facial expressions as cues to how they are understanding the content. I look forward to sharpening my teaching skills and learning and trying even more strategies with different groups of students.